All right, thanks, guys. We are currently 7-2 in our last 9 board member package plays on patreon.com/BrockPage. We're also at 71% in our last 8 NBA package plays on that website. The link for that site is in the description section below. That is patreon.com/BrockPage. Happy Monday to you guys. Got ourselves a nice little slate of college basketball action. So let's go ahead and begin with Drake taking on Cincinnati. 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off at the Fifth Third Arena. Now, Cincinnati's minus 12.5, totals 141 and a hook. We saw a half a point fade of Cincinnati and movement upward on the total. The Bearcats open 13, down to minus 12.5. Total open 139, up to 141 and a hook. 62% are leaning Cincinnati, 66% shaded toward the under. Right now, Drake is plus 720 on the money line. Drake is 1-0 straight up on the year, 1-0 against the spread. They beat Kennesaw State in their season opener, 86-55. They were led by DJ Wilkins, who scored 19 in that game. 4 rebounds, 4 assists for Wilkins. They're also led by Junior Jonah Jackson. Try saying that 3 times fast. Junior Jonah Jackson, 15 points for him. And senior Anthony Murphy, who had 7 rebounds, 11 points, 2 assists. Cincinnati on the other side, they lost 64-56, taking on Ohio State. That's going to put them at 0-1 straight up on the year, 0-1 against the spread. Trevor Moore and Prince Toyambi out indefinitely for Cincinnati. Now, total-wise, both teams went 1-0 to the under in their opening matchups. So with all that in mind, I'm going to purchase the half a point, buy it up, and take Drake plus 13 in the under 141.5 in that game. All right, next game, not on our board. It is going to be Kent State taking on Towson. 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off at the SECU Arena. Towson's minus 1.5, total 140 and a hook. Now, we did see some steady movement toward Towson, and as a matter of fact, we saw a flip of the lines in this one. We also saw movement downward on the total. Towson open plus 1, up to minus 1.5. Total open 141, down to 140 and a hook. 55% are leaning Towson, 78% shaded toward the under. Right now, Kent State is plus 105 on the money line. Towson, 2-0 straight up on the year, 1-0 against the spread. They're 1-0 against the number because one of those games actually opened up off the board. No line for the game. So anyway, 2-0 straight up, 1-0 against the spread. Nigel Houghton scored 17 points and 3 rebounds in one of those games. Jawan Gray, he's averaging 15.7 rebounds on the season. And freshman Charles Thompson, 12 rebounds and 7 points a game on average. He's averaging. So with all that in mind, I think Towson should get the job done. I'm going to purchase the half a point, slide it down, and take the Tigers of Towson minus 1 and the over 140.5 in that game. Next matchup, Elon taking on Georgia Tech. 7:30 McCamish Pavilion. Georgia Tech's minus 22, totals 144. We saw a half a point fade of Georgia Tech and movement upward on the total. The Yellow Jackets open 22.5, down to minus 22. Total open 142, all the way up to 144. 62% are leaning Georgia Tech. 59% shaded toward the under. Right now, Elon is plus 2,500 on the money line. Now, the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech, 1-0 straight up in the year, 1-0 against the spread. They beat NC State in a nail-biter, 82-81. They were actually the 6-point dog in that game. They were led by sophomore Michael DeVoe, 22 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists in that game. Senior James Banks III had 14 rebounds, 20 points for him. And junior Moses Wright, 12.6 rebounds for him. I like Georgia Tech in this spot here. Give me the Yellow Jackets minus 22 and the over 144 in that game. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to take another quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Got some lines of personal leads out for Monday's college basketball action. But before we get into some more of that, just want to quickly remind you to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage, where we are 7-2 in our last 9 board member package plays. We're also hitting at 71% in our last 8 NBA package plays on that website. We do daily plays on that site beginning at just $1.99 per month. We have a bunch of different memberships, tiers, and packages that you can subscribe to. Now, a lot of folks ask me what's the difference between YouTube and Patreon. Well, what we do here on YouTube is we handicap every single game, both the side and the total. And if you do that in real life, if you bet that way in real life, you will lose all of your money. The books are too good. The math is well against you. What we do on Patreon is we really focus and dial in on 3 to 4 premium selections per day. Those are my personal plays, and I'll tell you this much, my win percentage and win record is much better on Patreon than it is on YouTube. So you can check that out right now on the homepage. Link for that site is in the description section below. That is patreon.com/BrockPage. Now we got ourselves, once again, a nice slate of games, so let's go ahead and dive back into our college basketball slate. All starts Eastern Standard Time, and on deck we've got the UL Monroe Warhawks taking on the Texas A&M Aggies, and that's going to be an 8 o'clock tip-off at the Reed Arena. The Aggies are minus 16, total 140.5. We saw a 1-point move toward Texas A&M and movement downward on the total. The Aggies open 15, up to minus 16, total open 141, down to 140 and a hook. 67% are leaning Texas A&M, 68% shaded toward the under. Right now, the Warhawks of UL Monroe are plus 1225 on the money line. Now, if you like UL Monroe, just keep in mind they're taking on a Texas A&M team who's 1-0 straight up on the year, led by Savion Flagg, 22 points in that opener, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Quentin Jackson, 13 points and 4 rebounds for him in the season opener. And Yavuz Goltikin, 6 rebounds, 8 points, 2 assists for him. I'm going to lean Texas A&M minus 16 and the under 140.5 in that game. All right, next matchup, DePaul taking on Iowa. 8 o'clock, Carver, Hawkeye Arena. Iowa's minus 9, totals 150. Saw half a point move toward Iowa, moving downward on the total. The Hawkeyes open 8.5, up to minus 9. Total open 151, down to 150. 54% are leaning Iowa, 70% shaded toward the under. Right now, DePaul is plus 400 on the money line. DePaul's 0-3 against the spread for the year, 0-2 ATS away from home. Iowa's 1-0 straight up on the year, 1-0 ATS overall for the season. They're led by junior Luka Garza, who scored 20 points and 12 rebounds in that season opener. Joe Wieskamp, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists for him. And senior Ryan Kreiner, 5 rebounds, 9 points for him in that Iowa season opener. Now, total-wise, this Hawkeye defense held their opponent to 60 points in that opener. Meanwhile, DePaul is 3-0 to the under for the year. I'm going to lean toward Iowa minus 9 in the under 150 in that game. And I'm going to slide my next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be FAU taking on Alabama. 8 o'clock, Coleman Coliseum. The Crimson Tide are minus 12, total 149. Saw a 1-point fade of Alabama and movement upward on the total. The Crimson Tide opened 13, down to 12.5. Alabama opened 13, down to minus 12. Total open 147, up to 149. 65% are leaning Bama, 51% shaded toward the over. 51% shaded toward the under. So let's try that again. Alabama, 65% of the consensus are leaning toward Alabama, 51% shaded toward the under. Right now, FAU is plus 650 on the money line. FAU's 1-1 on the year and 0-1 against the spread. They lost to Miami, Florida, 74-60 in their last game. They were plus 12, so they failed to cover the spread in that game. FAU's 1-11 straight up in their last dozen, taking on the SEC, if you're into historical trends. Now, Alabama had a pretty good game in their opener. They did lose to Penn, but it was a nail-biter. Went down to the end, where they put up 80 points in that defeat. Sophomore Kira Lewis had 30 points in that game, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Freshman Jaden Shackelford, 16 points, 5 rebounds for him. And then freshman Jalen Forbes, 8 rebounds for the young guy there. So with all that in mind, I'm going to lean Alabama minus 12 and the over 149 in that game. And we're going to go ahead and slide into our quick pick recap brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage. I like Alabama minus 12, over 149. Iowa minus 9, under 150. Texas A&M minus 16, under 140 and a hook. Georgia Tech minus 22, over 144. Towson minus 1, over 140 and a half. And last but certainly not least, I like the Drake Bulldogs plus 13 and the under 141.5 in that game. All right, let's go ahead and get into some shout-outs brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage. Shout out to Nathan Moosley, Brian Williams, 4463013. Shout out to Vernon Williard, Layla W., Drew Churchill, Ronnie Christie, Joe Me the Money, Bukosi, DeBelly, Shotgun Shell 80, 201 Lifestyle, Calico Jones, and last but certainly not least, shout out to Square 707 Steam PS4. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Once again, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. I'm 7-2 in my last 9 board member plays. I'm also hitting at 71% my last 8 NBA package plays. We do daily plays on that site beginning at just $1.99 per month. We have a bunch of different memberships, tiers, and packages that you can subscribe to. A lot of folks ask me what's the difference between YouTube and Patreon. What we do on YouTube is handicap every single game, side and total on the slate. If you actually bet that way in real life, you will lose all of your money. What we do on Patreon is we dial it down and focus on 3 to 4 premium selections per day. Those are my personal selections. Those are games that I personally have action on. And I'll tell you this much, my current record on Patreon is much better than it is on YouTube, handicapping every game. So you can check out my current record for free right now on the homepage. Link for that site is in the description section below. That is patreon.com/BrockPage. But most importantly, guys, I got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. Happy Monday to you. Best of luck to you. And don't forget to check me out on patreon.com/BrockPage.